Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show that covers all things marketing. The GSMC Marketing News Podcast gives you the latest marketing news, from what major businesses have planned for the coming year to the newest trends in advertising, from podcasts, digital and streaming, to the old standbys of radio, television, and billboards. Whether you're a marketing agent or a business trying to expand your brand, you've come to the right place. The GSMC Marketing News Podcast starts now.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the GSMC Marketing Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Mackenzie, and guys, I am in my new place. I have my podcast mic all set up, no more recording in the bathroom for me, so say goodbye to all of that jazz, and hello to a brand new episode. Guys, I'm really enjoying the podcast. I feel like we've really hit a groove in what we're creating and what we're discussing in the marketing world. And if you feel the same, please show me some love and subscribe to the podcast. If you want to show me that little extra bit of love, I would really appreciate a review or to reach out through social media. Not only just to show me love, it also would be super helpful for me to know what you like about the podcast, what you don't like about the podcast, and what we can fix and what we can improve on. I would love to hear your suggestions on people we should interview, if you want to be interviewed, if your company wants to be featured, what subjects you want me to cover, what questions you have. I would love to know all of that and more, so please do not be a stranger. Reach out if you can. On today's episode, I realized it had been a while since we reviewed a marketing tool. And what I mean by that is we did a whole episode on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and Instagram, because I feel like for a lot of companies, you might be aware of how to use one of those platforms or two of those platforms, but the other ones are a little bit foreign to you. And while I was reflecting on that idea, I realized we have never done a YouTube episode. So that is what today is all about. I'm very familiar with the YouTube platform. In fact, I currently have my own YouTube channel. You can check it out, Mackenzie. I don't talk about marketing on there. I won't lie to you. But the GSMC Marketing Podcast, we do have other social media if you want to take it offline. But in terms of YouTube, I've been making YouTube videos for the past year, and so I think I've learned a lot about the platform and how to market yourself on there. So we are going to be talking about all of that and more on today's episode of the GSMC Marketing Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. To start off, I thought it would be a great idea to talk about some stats and facts about YouTube. The reason I want to talk about stats and facts, because I know for some of you long-term listeners, I recently took out the stats and facts segment of the show, and that was due to a lot of comments saying that it wasn't particularly helpful or useful in terms of marketing. But I do think in a case such as YouTube or Instagram or Facebook, it is helpful to know who your audience is while you're on that platform, because every platform has a different audience. And so these stats and facts are really aimed at letting you know who the audience is, what kind of content thrives on there, and which kind of content doesn't. So that is what we wanted to take a look at today. So, number 1 billion hours of videos are watched on YouTube every single day. Guys, so much content is being consumed through the YouTube platform that if you are capable of making a video, if you're capable of posting a video that you know people will watch, people are willing to watch it over there. So do not be afraid to use this platform. Number 2, every minute more than 500 hours of videos are uploaded onto YouTube. So here's the thing, that stat might seem a little bit more scary or a little bit more intimidating, because you never want to be a guppy in an ocean. You want to be the big fish in the pond. But in YouTube, the YouTube world, it doesn't matter what size of fish you are. It matters the quality of your content, because if you have content that people want to watch, people want to interact with, you will find your audience. It doesn't matter how many other people are also creating. Number 3, YouTube has over 2 billion users, almost 1/3 of all the people currently on the internet. Guys, your audience is there. Like I said before, it does not matter what size your audience is or how much money you're throwing into it or where you are in the world. Your audience will find you, even if it's just one person, but that one person is so committed to you that they're going to buy out your entire stock every week. That person, reaching them is worth it. Number 4, the first YouTube video was uploaded in April 2005 featuring its co-founder, Jawed Karim, at the San Diego Zoo. Guys, I thought that was just super cute and a very interesting fact. I won't lie to you. Number 5, YouTube was founded by 3 former employees of PayPal. Now, I found this very interesting because PayPal is another very big corporation that I'm sure we all have used and all have heard of. We've all been paid through PayPal or even paid for a friend's dinner through PayPal. So very interesting to see one company sprouting into another just by simply having similar employees. Number 6, music video Gangnam Style was so popular that it broke YouTube's view count, which had to be upgraded after, which I thought was super interesting because clearly YouTube saw their limit. They saw how many people would realistically watch a video. They saw that they had limitations, and then a video outdid their limitations and outdid their expectations. And I really just liked that as a term in marketing, that you never know how successful, how big anything is going to be. And when you set yourself up to hit a goal, that feeling of hitting it must be so incredible. And then to have to go and upgrade the view count. And I don't think it's been broken since, although I do think the Taylor Swift Look What You Made Me Do video came close to breaking it. I don't know. We would have to look into that. You can navigate YouTube in more than 80 different languages, covering 90% of the internet population. Guys, this was really important because it's something that we talk about so much on this podcast, is that you need to be able to work in so many different industries, on so many different platforms, and in so many different areas of the world. And that's clearly something that YouTube can help you do. Number 8, 32 million inappropriate videos were removed from YouTube in 2018 by a team of 10,000 reviewers. So I really liked this fact because it did what I tell you guys to do all the time, is constantly reflect and pivot and make decisions that reflect the best of your company. YouTube wants to be seen as someone who is very user-friendly and creates an environment that is safe and comforting, and you can trust your children to be on there, and you can trust your grandma to be on there, and you yourself want to use it. So when they had those people review the videos and over 32 million were removed, obviously YouTube would look at that as a big hit to their company. But it would be a bigger hit to their brand to leave that up. So it definitely comes down to making decisions like that. And it's just another reminder that your brand is your company. Number 9, YouTube's early headquarters were situated above a pizzeria and a Japanese restaurant in San Mateo, California. Guys, that's amazing. You talk about a garage company. I just wanted to put that fact in there for everybody who is currently in their garage, currently recording a podcast in their bathroom like I used to. You don't know where you're going to start, and you don't know how you're going to grow. And so it's amazing to hear stories like this of just, obviously YouTube now is this huge, unbelievably big company, but it started above a pizzeria. And guys, I encourage you to go Google the photo because it looks like the tiniest little pizzeria it was on top of. It is so funny and just so inspiring to see them grow and see where they started as well. Here's just a fun one for you guys. If you search Do the Harlem Shake on YouTube, the page itself will do the Harlem Shake. Just another fun thing that YouTube added into its platform just to make the experience and the user experience feel more genuine. Number 12, the most disliked video on YouTube is Justin Bieber's Baby with over 4,400,000 dislikes. Number 13, 60% of YouTube's 1,000 most popular videos are blocked in Germany. Number 14, YouTube's 10 highest earning channels made anywhere from $2.5 million US to $12 million in 2015. So clearly there is a lot of money to be made on the platform. And again, I don't want this to be a reason that you guys are doing it. Do not use YouTube as a marketing tool because you're like, oh, I'm going to be a famous YouTuber, unless that is what you want. If that is your goal, then that is completely different. But if you are just looking to market your brand, your company, and your product on YouTube, then do not be worried about your numbers as to how many ads are getting played on your videos or your view count or anything like that, because monetization on the actual platform itself is not your goal. Look at this as simply as posting on Instagram, but you're posting on YouTube instead. And finally, Google bought YouTube for $1.65 billion in stocks just 18 months after YouTube's creation. So, guys, started in a pizzeria and then Google bought you. It is amazing what the company has done with their platform, and it is amazing what you as a creator and as a marketer and as a content creator can use the platform for. So that is what we're going to talk about on the rest of the podcast, is how you can use the platform to benefit you and to benefit your company. So we are going to go ahead and take a short break from the podcast, but when we come back, I have some strategies for how you can use the platform to benefit your company. So stay tuned for more of the GSMC Marketing Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Mackenzie Jaquish, and I'll be right back.
Golden State Media Concepts Technology Podcast covers everything tech. The hottest mobile phones, tablets, games. We review it, rate it, test it. Whether you're Microsoft or Apple, Android or iPhone, we'll give it to you black and white. The Golden State Media Concepts Technology Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the GSMC Marketing Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Mackenzie Jaquish, and how are you doing today? I'll be honest with you, it is a rainy day in Seattle. I've had a very long, very stressful work week. I'm sure all of you have. It is coming to the end of the quarantine. Things are opening up, which I'm sure we're all so excited about. But let's reflect on all the work we've done during the lockdown, because if you are a listener of this podcast, and maybe even if you just tuned in for a few episodes during the lockdown, you know the amount of work that we put into creating content during the quarantine lockdown, and all the work we put into pushing each other. And even on days we didn't feel like pushing, we gave you ideas for how to still succeed when you're feeling low, or easy marketing ideas to pull off. So as this quarantine is ending, as things are opening up, and perhaps you're even returning to an office and your team is coming together again, I really want you to take time to reflect on all the work we achieved over the past few months. And that could be as simple as having a movie night with yourself and just cheersing yourself for all the work you did. Just appreciate it and thank yourself, because I think it is so incredibly important to reflect on our successes. I know. I tell you guys all the time how important it is to reflect on your failures and to understand what you did wrong and how you're going to do better next time. But I think it is equally important to celebrate your success and to reflect on that in a positive way and say, we did well, we did better than well, we thrived instead of just surviving. And I think that is important and wonderful. And so if you haven't already, give yourself a pat on the back and maybe grab a glass of wine and watch Josie and the Pussycats because you deserve a night all to yourself. So on today's episode, though, now that we're done giving ourselves a pat on the back, let's get right back into what you can do on YouTube. So before the break, we talked about all the different stats and facts that come with the platform and how you can use the platform to your own benefit, knowing where your audience is and who your audience is. Now that we are back from our break, I have 10 different strategies and sort of ideas and ways that the platform can help you market your product and your brand and your company through YouTube. So get your pen and paper out because we are diving right in. Number 1, branding. Branding is so important on YouTube because, like I said earlier, there are so many people, so many content creators posting videos and content on the platform every minute, every day, and some of them already have these huge audiences. And a great example of this is a YouTuber by the name Rosanna Pansino, who does a show called Nerdy Nummies. Now, she has a very distinct brand, and all of her videos are branded the exact same way, but she has millions of subscribers. YouTube pays her so much for her videos. I think they may have been a big part of her house buying, and it's just, she clearly has an audience. She clearly knows what they want. Yet she still manages to keep up with consistent branding because she understands that the reason that YouTube pays her so much, she gets all these ads and her audience is there weekly, is because she knows they are there for the brand. So even if she isn't doing a cooking video, which she is known for, all of her videos have that same level of consistent branding. So if you are going to create a video for YouTube, make sure that you have consistent branding across every video. Even if you're going from a cooking video to a DIY video to a vlog to a day in the life interview to a testimonial, make sure your branding and your company is clearly laid out in every single video. Number 2, learn about your audience. Now, we discussed your audience possibilities in the stats and facts section, sort of telling you where they are in the world, how you can reach them, and what they like and what they don't like. For example, they really did not like the Justin Bieber baby music video. Nobody on the internet appeared to like that. So you already know that. Just don't post to that video and you're going to thrive. But more than that, if you want to do very well in creating content for a specific audience, you need to learn who that audience is. So questions to ask yourself once you started uploading your videos are, where are your videos being viewed and when? The when and the where are two very different objects, but they often get lumped together because you can be like, oh, they're being viewed in Canada a lot at 7 o'clock at night. So the Canada aspect is totally important. If you got a bunch of Canadians watching your videos, lean into that because Canadians love content that's specifically made for them. That is coming from a Canadian herself. But the when is also important. If your videos are always being viewed at 7 p.m., then why are you posting at 7 a.m.? Start posting at 6:30 and make sure you promote it before then too, so that your audience will know that it's time to go watch your new video. You also need to know what age your viewers are. If you sell a product that at first you assumed would be liked by women of the age category 30 to 45, but you find out that your YouTube audience is young boys between the ages of 12 and 20, then your target audience is no longer who you were making content for, and you're going to have to pivot and change. Now, that does not mean you have to change your product because clearly they like the product, but it does mean you need to change your content on YouTube to better fit that audience. Now, here's the thing though, is that your audience on YouTube will be different than your audience on Instagram and on Facebook and on LinkedIn and on Twitter. This is why it is so important to customize content. The third strategy is consistency. Consistency is so important with any type of content, but especially YouTube, because people on that platform expect content constantly. And so if they understand that, okay, on Mondays I watch Rosanna Pansino videos, but on Tuesday they're going to watch Beans by Bob, which is your company because you upload every single Tuesday. So if they go to open their phone on Tuesday and your content isn't there, they're going to find someone else to watch on Tuesdays, and perhaps you will totally fall by the wayside. So consistency, especially on YouTube, is extremely important. Number 4, watch your competition's videos and then check out their stats. Now, here's the thing. You got to be a little sneaky. You got to do some detective work here, because you obviously don't want to keep rewatching their videos if you missed something, because that's going to up their view count. You want to watch it once, and you want to pay attention to all the things that they are doing that you like and all the things that they are doing that you don't like, that you don't respond to. Because here's the thing, they're going to do things that you think are a very, very good idea, and you'll be able to implement the same idea and strategy. We don't steal anything here, but take inspiration from their videos. But they're also going to do things you really don't like. And it's important to note those as well so that you can stay away from them in your video. Number 5, take inspiration from your favorite channels. This is something that I think is so important for marketing across the board, because it is such a big and beautiful and creative world that, of course, we should look to each other to be inspired by and to challenge ourselves and to push ourselves. And a very similar situation, I love so many different YouTubers. One in particular is Grace Helbig, and we do very similar videos. Obviously, she is a lot bigger and has a bigger following than me, but I do comedy videos on YouTube as well. And so there have been times that I've seen her do a skit or her do a review or a tutorial that I'm like, that's a good idea. I'm going to take inspiration. I'm not going to copy. I'm not going to steal, but take inspiration from. And I would encourage you to do the same, because it's so easy just to watch our competitions videos and be like, oh, I'm doing so much better than them. This is fantastic. Ha ha ha. But you should also watch people who are doing better than you, who inspire you to do better and who push you that little extra bit to do more with your channel. Okay, everyone, we are going to go ahead and take our final break from the podcast. But when we come back, I have a few more strategies and suggestions for you and for your YouTube platform. So stay tuned for more of the GSMC Marketing Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Mackenzie Jaquish, and I'll be right back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the GSMC Marketing Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. Guys, I've said it before. I've said it again, and I'll keep saying it until you do it. You need to check out the other podcasts that are on the GSMC Podcast Network. We have a podcast on everything. We have TV, social media, sports, book, and lifestyle. If you are looking for something to entertain you, to perk you up, to keep you distracted during the coronavirus, then check out some of our podcasts. We create consistent and quality content every week. I know the other hosts. I know how much they care about creating this world and this environment for you, the audience. So please show us all some love, subscribe to your favorite podcast, write some reviews, and let us know what we could be doing better, because we would love to hear from you, the listener. On today's episode of the GSMC Marketing Podcast, however, we have been talking about YouTube. Now, I am a huge fan of the platform. I create my own videos on there as well. You can go check that out. It is Mackenzie Jaquish. That is Mackenzie Jaquish. I post new videos every single week when I'm not doing the podcast. And I can tell you, it is an interesting platform because it is so very different from Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook and LinkedIn, which we have also talked about, by the way, on other episodes. If you are interested, please go check those out as well. It's very important, I think, to know all the platforms you're working with inside and out. The YouTube platform is so specifically different because a lot of people are able to make their entire career on the platform. Now, obviously, there are people such as influencers who spend a lot of time and money on Instagram, but normally they also have a YouTube channel or a TikTok page or a blog or a website. It's never just solely based on Instagram. However, there are YouTubers who their entire platform is all on YouTube. All of the content they create is on their YouTube channel, which is why it is so interesting for people then who are not YouTubers, who are not content creators, to then utilize the platform for their own benefit. And that is what we're talking about today, is how can you, Bob, Jill, Steve, Orson, Bree, how can you all put your product on the YouTube platform, find your audience, and have them be redirected back to your site so that they can actually buy your product? So before the break, we went over a few different strategies on how you can do that. And now that we are back, we have a few more. And the first one is so simple: cross-channel promoting. If you take the time, the energy, and the effort, the effort to create a YouTube video, you send it out into the world. You cannot just hit post and then walk away and expect to come back and be bigger than Jenna Marbles and Shane Dawson. That's not how it's going to work. And if you were hoping that was what I was going to tell you, then I'm sorry. It's not the real world. You need to let people know you made a video. Even some of the biggest content creators in the world still cross-channel promote, even though they know their audience is waiting by the phone for them to post a new video. They still let their audience know across all platforms that there is a new video, a new piece of content for them to view. So post the video, but then post a trailer of it on Instagram, and then post a photo of it with a funny caption on Twitter, and then share the video on Facebook, and then put it on your LinkedIn page. The more you can tell people that there is a new video, the more you can let your audience know that there is a new video, the more they'll go over there. Because maybe they saw it on Instagram and they're like, oh, that's kind of cool. But then they saw it on Twitter and they're like, oh, that's really interesting. That's also in the video. And then they see it on LinkedIn and they're like, okay, now I'm definitely going to go check out that video. So cross-channel promoting can help you out by just simply notifying your audience. Number 7, collaborate with other content creators. Now, obviously right now, this one's a little bit more difficult, so I apologize. But once things open back up, even right now, you could do a video, just make sure you're sitting 6 feet apart from each other. When you collaborate with other content creators, it allows their audience to be introduced to your product. So perhaps you create with someone who has an audience of only 20 people. That's 20 new people who didn't see your product before. So you're able to reach a new audience and also network with someone in your area. Number 8, have your influencers create content videos for you. Now, I talked about on a different episode of the podcast the importance of hiring an influencer if that works for your company. However, if you don't have an influencer, if it does not work for your company, then you can totally skip this step. However, I do encourage you to go listen to that podcast episode and figure out if an influencer is the right move for you. Number 9, thumbnails are almost as important as the video themselves. So make sure you actually spend time to create a well thought out thumbnail that will actually attract people to your video and to your content, because if they're just on the platform, they've never heard of you before, you need to give them a reason to click on that video. So even if you need to spend a little extra money to hire someone to create the thumbnails for you, which by the way is totally not necessary, you can do it on your phone and make some really high quality, beautiful thumbnails. But just so you know, that is totally an option to hire someone as well and come out with some really great thumbnail opportunities. Number 10, and don't hate me for giving this fact, but it is a fact. You can go ahead and listen to our podcast episode where we told you how to make videos from the comfort of your home. Guys, the most important thing when you're creating content for YouTube is that your video is of a certain quality. Now, you do not need a $100 million budget and professional lights and a professional camera with a professional microphone. In that podcast episode, we gave you really simple tips and tricks on how to make a high quality video. So I encourage you to go listen to that one because we lay it out. It's like 40 minutes long. You can listen to it while you're working and get some ideas on how to create that high quality video you have been searching for. Okay, everyone, that is it for tonight's episode of the GSMC Marketing Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Mackenzie Jakewish, and I'll be right back.
You've been listening to the GSMC Marketing News Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on SoundCloud, Stitcher, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to any podcast app, and you'll find all of the shows from the GSMC Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, from business news to weird news, you'll find it all on the GSMC Podcast Network. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.